Welcome to my channel. Today I take you on a fascinating journey through the history of one of the most influential women in the history of the Ottoman Empire, Hurrem Sultan. My name is Joanne Mahpeyker. I also post on Polish YouTube channel and TikTok, and I am Polish author of several ebooks about the Ottoman Empire, including my bestseller biographies of the Sultanas, the Sultanate of Women, which I'm gonna translate and sell in English version too. I'm a researcher with a strong interest in Asia and ancient Greece, and I've dedicated the last 11 years to in-depth studies of Ottoman history. I love uncovering the mysteries of the universe, analyzing the future through the lens of history from the past, and exploring the world through numerology and various philosophies. Harem was a figure who not only won the heart of Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, but also had an enormous impact on the political fate of the Ottoman state. I will tell you about her origins, her path to the Sultan's harem, and her role in history. Harem, known globally also as Roxelana, a name often mistakenly thought to be her given name, actually just means a woman from Ruthenia, was a woman of a mysterious and not entirely clear origin. While some people believe she was Russian, in reality she came from the territory of what is now Ukraine, which at that time was part of the Polish kingdom. She was likely born around 1503, although her exact birth date remains uncertain. According to the legend, she was the daughter of an Orthodox priest, though there is no solid evidence to support this claim. What we do know is that Hurrem was captured by the Tatars and taken to Crimea, from where she ended up at the slave market. She certainly wasn't the only one affected by the tragic Tatar raids of that period. There are many theories about how she ended up in Suleiman's harem. The most common one says she was a gift from the influential Pargai Ibrahim Pasha after Suleiman ascended the throne in 1520, although there is no definitive proof that it was Ibrahim who gave her to the Sultan. Another version suggests that Hurrem grew up in the harem of influential figure and was later sent to Suleiman. An important fact is that Hurrem was about 16 or 17 years old at that time, and her knowledge of Turkish was initially very limited. Therefore, in my opinion, the most credible version is that the Crimean Khan gave Hurrem to Suleiman as a gift after he ascended the throne, as this was quite a common tradition. This is also supported by the fact that Hurrem was already in the old palace well before the rest of the Sultan's harem arrived from Manisa, Suleiman's province. Among those who came from Manisa were Aisha Hafsa, Mahidevran Hatun, 2 or 3 other concubines, and his children. Among these concubines, it most likely wasn't Gulfem, as I've mentioned many times on my TikTok and my Polish YouTube channel, because Gulfem was a friend of the Sultan's family but never his consort. There was an instant spark between Hurrem and Sultan Suleiman, although at first their bond was mainly physical. Over time, their relationship blossomed into a deep and genuine love. Shortly after her arrival in Istanbul, Hurrem became pregnant and gave birth to their first son, Mehmet, in 1521. However, around the same time, due to an epidemic that swept through the old palace, Suleiman lost his son Mahmud, a daughter Razia, and son Murad. This marked the beginning of Hurrem's exceptional role in the harem, because not only did she bear Suleiman a son, but he also chose to break a centuries-old Ottoman tradition known as one concubine, one son. According to this custom, once a concubine gave birth to a son, she would never sleep with the Sultan again, allowing her to dedicate herself entirely to raising the prince into an ideal sultan. Suleiman, however, wanted to build a real family with Hurrem. Soon after, she gave birth to Mihrimah, then Selim, Abdullah, Bayezid, and Jihangir. As the years passed, Hurrem became more than just the Sultan's beloved. She turned into a serious political player. She used her influence to gain more power and privileges. She was the first woman in the history of the Ottoman Empire to be granted the title of Hazeki, meaning she was not only the sole partner of Suleiman, but also the first concubine ever to be officially referred to as a sultana. Later, she became the first enslaved woman to marry a sultan. She also had authority over the harem and influence over the sultan's political decisions. She was supported in the harem by Gulfem, who was in fact her real friend, contrary to what the series portrays. Over time, Hurrem became actively involved in state affairs, and her position was unlike that of any other concubine in Suleiman's life. Hurrem's relationships with other women in the harem were complicated. Among them, Mahidevran stood out as the mother of Suleiman's eldest son, Mustafa. Despite the tensions, Hurrem never allowed herself to be dominated by the older women. Her role in the harem was highly significant, and her status grew with each passing year. Again, contrary to the serious and popular beliefs, Hurrem and Mahidevran were not fierce rivals. Mahidevran knew her place in the harem and had not shared Suleiman's bed since giving birth to Mustafa. Later, she lived far from the palace in Manisa and Amasya. Hurrem gave birth to 6 children: Mehmed, Mihrimah, Selim, Abdullah, Bayazid, and Jihangir. Their children were significant not only within the royal family but also in a broader political context. They played main roles in the struggle for the throne, and Hurrem herself had a strong influence over decisions concerning their futures. Though her eldest son Mehmed died young, the remaining children, especially Selim, had their own ambitions. Selim was her favorite, but he fell into depression and alcoholism after Hurrem ultimately supported Bayezid. This was a devastating blow to him because Hurrem truly had enormous influence over the fate of the empire. I wrote about it in my ebook about Prince Mustafa, which proves that she had enough power to bring about the execution of an innocent prince. As time passed, Hurrem not only gained sway over the Sultan's personal life, but also over state matters. She advised Suleiman on internal and foreign affairs and was the first woman in Ottoman history to get involved in financial matters. Despite initially plunging the harem into debt, she quickly resolved the issue with the help of Gulfem. Hurrem was known for her positive energy. In truth, she was not merely a manipulative or a cruel woman. She was full of joy. She was highly skilled with her hands, could sew, and taught this to her daughter Mihrimah. Hurrem reminds me of the sun, of the colors yellow and orange. Even her name from Persian means joyful, happy, and radiant. She most likely died of cancer. Hurrem is undoubtedly one of the most extraordinary and influential women in the history of Ottoman Empire. Her life was filled with mystery, love, rivalry, and the fight for power. Although some aspects of her story remain controversial, there is no doubt that she changed the course of history. Her influence on the development of the Ottoman dynasty is huge. She became a symbol of strength, determination, and political cunning. It is because of her that the fate of the Ottoman Empire changed for many years. She is considered the woman who began the era of the Sultanate of women. After her, several other enslaved women also became wives of sultans. She ended the one concubine and one son tradition, and the title Hazeki continued for many generations. I understand you might have had a different perception due to the misinformation circulating, but to sum up, Mahidevran was never a sultana, as the series suggests, and Gulfem was never Suleiman's lover. Even Aisha Hafsa, Suleiman's mother, didn't officially hold the title of Valide Sultan. She was officially known as Valide Hatun. I'll explain who the Valide Hatun was in my next video. Still, people called her Sultana out of love and respect. If you'd like to know more about these topics and read the biographies of the sultanas, feel free to check out my digital book. You'll find the link in the video description. Those are in Polish language, but I'm gonna publish in English, but I'm gonna inform you. Thank you for being here. If you'd like to see more videos like this, subscribe to my channel and leave a comment. Also follow me on X and Instagram. The links are also in the description. See you in the next episode.